you are doing good. Thought I would do a little live. I had some extra time today, and I normally do live streams at night, but I thought let's try a midday live stream. So we're gonna go through some of the big happenings around the Twin Cities, different news, developments, things that are going on, big articles from last year that we're following up on, some new restaurants. Lots of fun stuff. So, gonna give this a shot. I'm curious to see how a midday live stream goes. So, do me a favor, let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching this on the live as we're doing it, or if you're doing this in the replay, these are always way more fun with people chit chatting in the comments. So, pardon me. Let's get rocking and rolling. Also, a little housekeeping. I have a new setup, and I made some tweaks and changes, which is always dangerous. So, let me know. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the lighting okay? Is everything all right? You know how technology is. So let's get rocking and rolling if we can. And, I should double check on something real quick. Is my video okay? I feel like it just froze. Did my video freeze on you guys? I better check the interwebs and make sure that everything is going smoothly. Okay, so we're going to get into a couple of different news articles. Let me pull up my my stream and make sure that you guys are seeing everything okay and we are looking good. It looks like it is. Okay, hopefully everything is going to stay peachy for us. Let's jump right into our first news article if we can. And I got a few of these queued up that caught my attention. I think you guys will be most interested in. So this one's going to be down on the south side. Eden Prairie Center is opening up a bunch of new restaurants that I thought was going to be interesting. So a couple of these, tell me if you guys have heard of these, because I haven't heard of most of them, to be honest. And I'm curious if they're going to be any good. And these will all support the Asia Mall. So if you're not from around here, you didn't know there's a big Asia Mall that they built 4 or 5 years ago, I guess. And it's like an indoor food court / grocery store, Asian market type of thing. They got a really weird corn dog place. If you're ever jonesing for I think they're Korean corn dogs. Very good. Anyhow, Gui My Japanese is coming in with Ishidu Ramen. So I have had Ichidu. It's a big chain. I don't know about Gui My, but that's going to be a Japanese barbecue place that's coming in down there. A couple of others that caught my eye. This Minso Chinese retailer, again, that'll support the Asia Mall, but what's crazy is it's 3,500 square feet. So that's got to be a pretty large facility, I guess. And then also this game show studio experience. So what's a game show studio experience? Honestly, I don't have a clue, but it's a Hollywood-inspired game show entertainment for corporate events, birthdays, and other gatherings. That one's 4,000 square foot facility. So gonna be pretty big. I'm intrigued. Anyways, I don't know. Is this the sort of thing you like? Is this like an adult birthday party thing? I don't know if kids are gonna be into Hollywood inspired game shows, but a design place called the Maker's Den, and I've been getting into chess lately, and I'm kind of into. I've been trying to design my own chess pieces because there's no like Minnesotan themed chessboards out there, which I thought was really dumb. And honestly, I thought it'd be pretty cool in my new office. But I wanted a Minnesota-inspired thing, so maybe I'm gonna have to go to this place, the Maker's Den, and see if they see what it's like, see what it's all about. So that'll be pretty interesting. Also, fun fact: wouldn't you have thought Eden Prairie was one of the bigger ones? It's the third biggest shopping center apparently in the Twin Cities. I don't know where Roseville is. That one seems bigger to me than Southdale, but. Anyhow, that one was interesting. Okay, next piece of news that I thought was pretty interesting. This is, sorry, let me scroll back up. The where Minnesotans gained and lost residents from. Now, if you're on the channel, most likely you're relocating to the Twin Cities. That's kind of the niche that I have gotten here. But let me zoom down here to the map. So this is what I thought was interesting. First of all, Minnesota had a net loss migration, which I thought was a little bit interesting. However, this is back from 2022 to 23. According to the census data, so they were a net loss of 9,000. 100,000 people moved to Minnesota, 109 moved out apparently. But what this map shows you, I thought was kind of fascinating. I'm not sure if you guys will even care, but I thought it was pretty interesting. So what you're looking at is blue would be a net gain, red would be a net loss, but it's from those states. So it's not like the state lost or gained that many, it's Minnesota gained or lost that many from. So like California, Minnesota gained 1,800 residents from California. Totally not surprised at all. Well, what's kind of surprising was Oregon. We gained more residents from Oregon than California. Just size and per capita of California, I would have definitely put California number one. But apparently Oregon's there, and then also Indiana. So I did actually recently help a family from Indiana, Illinois. But I guess I wouldn't have thought that was the number one. Certainly isn't the number one state that I get called from, but 2,500 people almost moved to Minnesota net 2,500 more than moved out to go there. So that was pretty fascinating. A little bit of a surprise. I didn't guess I would have thought Texas and Florida were going to be as high of people moving out of Minnesota to Texas, but that was interesting, right? But they're obviously having like all the big tech companies that are moving down there and moving out of California, and I guess pulling people maybe from Minnesota. So I don't know. That was interesting. However, what's going on with North Dakota and South Dakota being the biggest stealers of Minnesota residents? Like, what is this? 10,000 people almost net lost to North Dakota. Like, what is in North Dakota, people? I mean, I've only driven through it a few times, but it's pretty boring. I don't know what is so exciting. So, if somebody watching has moved out of Minnesota and you made the great escape fleeing to North Dakota, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. So anyhow, I don't know if you guys care, but I thought that was pretty interesting. Where people are moving to around the country. I wanted to see this map actually of like the states where people are moving in and out of, like the net gain or loss just from their state, you know, like how many people have left California to go anywhere but California because they don't like their politics. So they're like fleeing super liberal areas or fleeing super conservative areas, and they're coming here for somewhere that's kind of more of a middle ground, which is funny because people from here think we're considerably more extreme than we are. But that is not the case, according to everything I've seen. So anyways, that was very interesting. Let's get back to it. If you are tuning in, we've got a handful of people on. I'd love to know, first of all, where you're watching from, and if you're watching live or, of course, on the replay. Anyone watching this now can just type live in the comments. Would be super helpful. And then let me know where you are watching from. We've got people all around the place. Also, we just had a video kind of blow up on the channel, which was really fun. I don't know if you guys saw that one. That was the fastest growing zip codes of the Twin Cities review that I did, and 150 new subscribers off that thing in a couple weeks. So that was really cool. Welcome, by the way, to everybody that's new. Okay, next article up. These are going to be the new laws going into effect in 2025 across the Twin Cities. There wasn't any real huge ones, but I think there's about 4 of them that I'll just bring to your attention going into effect this year. First of all, minimum wage. This one's kind of like a non-significant story. We went up from $9 an hour to $11 an hour. And I was curious actually before this live stream. I was like, does that actually affect anybody? Well, I just looked up like McDonald's and Taco Bell. McDonald's average wage for their starting like cashiers or whatever was, I think, $13 was what McDonald's pays around here. So even that's like the lowest paid job, and it's not even affected. So I don't know how much this is actually going to affect anybody. I'm sure people are going to be kind of hot button topic on this one, either not wanting a minimum wage or wanting a higher minimum wage or whatever. But in any case, however you feel about it, you can let me know. Debate it in the comments for all I care. That was one interesting. Related to that, though, was the salary disclosure laws that went into place. And essentially, this one's just saying, hey, you can't give us a crazy wide range of, you might make $15 an hour or you might make 45. Like, they have to give them a more solid range, apparently, which seems like it would be common sense, but apparently not. So this is obviously good for discrimination, and wage gaps was the big motivation behind that one, which I can get behind. Also, a bigger thing, though, like, isn't just annoying because they're obviously only going to give you like the bare minimum of their supposed range anyways. But now I guess that makes people not be able to make it based on an emotion of how much they like the person or don't, or if they're going to be discriminatory or whatever. So that's seems like a fair play. Let's see, two more. The PFAS ban, basically these are certain chemicals that are in different products that they're outlawing, essentially. I don't know how much that one really stands out or affects things. They did say certain suppliers, retailers are going to have a bunch of products that they can't sell anymore. So that can be interesting, kind of a bummer loss for them, especially with products relating to juveniles, they said, specifically with dirt bikes, for example. So waterproofing and heat resistant stuff, I guess, on dirt bikes and other different stuff. Cookware, dental floss, carpets, and cleaning products. I don't know, weird. And then perhaps my favorite of the entire new law segment was going to be the Taylor Swift bill, as they're calling it, the House 1989 bill. Essentially, which is kind of funny. I mean, I'm sure it's not really just because of Taylor Swift, but Taylor Swift concert came here. A bunch of people were a little frustrated of all the crazy fees from Ticketmaster and whatever. So they're now doing away with those. State law says you can't do all the random junk fees that they just add on at the end when you're checking out. You have to disclose all those things up front. And also, what I kind of liked the best, to be honest, was they're limiting bots' ability to buy big chunks of tickets, which I think is fantastic. Like, why do you have bots that can just buy up all these tickets, sell them on the secondhand market at a huge markup? I think is pretty bonkers. That does remind me. Let me double check the chat. I'm live on YouTube and Facebook. So if you are here, honestly, lives are way more fun when people are here and chit-chatting. So I don't think I see any comments yet. But let me know. I'd love to know where you guys are watching from. If you guys have any questions, we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. I just had a couple minutes, thought I would go live and share a few interesting articles I found. Next up, can somebody tell me why there's so many data centers going in Minnesota? This has been sort of a fascinating thing that I've been watching. Apparently it's on the south side, and apparently a bunch of residents are really up in arms about this. So especially if you're a Minnesota local, I want to know what you think about this. I guess we're not local. Like, do you have data centers going up all over the country? Is it just a Minnesota thing? In any case, here's the most recent one. We've got a 447 acre project. Like, first of all, how big of a place do you need to put in a data center? I have no idea, but good Lord. That sounds crazy. So this one's going to be going in down in Rosemount. Now, I also don't know what's so special about Rosemount. Maybe their city council is like really pushing these or something, or giving some huge tax breaks or something. I don't know. But all I do know is that they are putting in, I think there's 12 of these. There's 12 different buildings that they're proposing to put in. This is some joint out of Denver called Track that's putting these in. And it doesn't allow me to pull the imagery, which I thought was kind of goofy. Oh, there it goes. Hey, look, if I zoom out, there we go. So this is where they're proposing to build it. It's going to definitely be towards the far side of Rosemount over towards Hastings. And I guess that facility was going to kind of border it. So if you know this area, I mean, it's a very remote area. There's tons of farmland and stuff. There's really not a ton of houses, kind of as you can see. Like, look, there's like literally nothing in this area. So in a way, you're like, okay, great. That seems like a great spot to put some random warehouse thing with a bunch of data centers. But apparently people are still quite upset about it. And it's a whole thing. So I don't really know anything about commercial real estate. That's not my game at all. However, what I did think was interesting was part of their plan with that 447 acres was almost 1,500 residential units and 500,000 square feet of commercial. So that could be good. I mean, personally, I'm not sure that like way out here, there's going to be a really high demand for houses. They are building a bunch, but it's primarily down like closer to the Farmington side of Rosemount. I don't know that the east side of 52 is really going to be super popular. Like Hastings is a great place, but I know it's really booming. So why do we need 1,400 new houses? I'm not really sure. To be honest, it's probably the city requiring it, and so they're just going along with it because they want to get their data center. But I don't know. The other thing that I thought was notable, I've kind of talked about it in the past. We're not going to go into it, but they're also putting in a Meta facility, Meta Platforms, which is obviously owned by Facebook, or vice versa. They're spending $800 million putting in a data center on the south side as well. There's a whole bunch of these different projects. These are kind of the two biggest, most notable ones, but that was pretty surprising. And as I was looking into some of the why they were doing this, one of the things that was most interesting was apparently it's because of our climate. Because it's so cold, they don't have to spend as much money to cool off these places, which obviously have huge utility costs. Couple that with costs of electricity and stuff, I guess it's cheaper and more affordable. So that's part of why they're putting these in Minnesota, I guess. Why they're all centralized in Rosemount area, I have no idea. But that was pretty fascinating to me. So, and I just want to keep checking comments. You guys are quiet today. Are you guys all like at work? Working remotely probably and not really working. You're just watching me, but you don't want to chit chat. That's okay. I can respect that. Okay, let's talk about some more fun stuff, less random things. Have you guys been keeping an eye on Hopkins? Oh, sorry, you can't even see my screen. So Hopkins has been kind of exploding. Now, not as far as people living there necessarily. It's a pretty locked in, like older community. However, their downtown strip is fantastic. So pardon me. Do you guys like my mug? I got this from my trip to the Grand Canyon with Haley this year, 15th anniversary. Anyhow, Eat Street. So this is kind of, they're calling it like the Eat Street of the West Metro. Downtown Hopkins, tons of new restaurants. There's, I want to say a brewery or two. There's a coffee shop. They're really revitalizing the area, and it's actually fantastic. Just took some clients there. Well, it's been a few months now. I don't even remember the name of the place. Oh, I should have looked it up for you. I don't know, but it's fantastic. Had a steak salad and some stuff, and it was very good. No, quinoa bowl? I don't know. It was fantastic. Whatever it was. I don't remember the name of it. But in any case, here's some new restaurants that you guys can check out if you wish. Pink Ivy Kitchen and Bar, Brasa. What is a rotisserie? Rotisserie? Am I even saying that right? Too fancy for me. I'm like a burger guy. Japanese Peruvian Fusion. Did I say that right? Japanese Peruvian Fusion Kanako. And then Bar Sienna is slated to open last month. So that's super cool. There's a ton of them. If you guys are looking for like a new date night spot, Hopkins is fantastic for those that are out of towners. This is a really small, old school, like historic downtown. This isn't going to be like a big, large notable, but they've got a ton of great little, like old fashioned buildings, but brand new, cool restaurants. A couple other sort of interesting restaurant things that we'll just gloss through. A couple of breweries shutting down. These are down Southside Mankato. And Chaotic Good Brewing. I've never even heard of that one, to be honest with you. There was Bear Claw. I saw it was opening up in Hopkins. And then, let me see. Mexican restaurant opening in Brooklyn Park. That was whatever. Diamico. This is an interesting one. Closing at the Brooklyn Golf Course, Edinburgh. And then this one. Okay, so this is very time sensitive. I saw, and I'm glad I happened to be doing this because I pulled these articles a couple weeks ago. This is the last weekend if you want to do a office-themed dinner party at Travail. So Travail is a pretty well-known, I wouldn't say like high-end, but like a nicer, more or fancy upscale restaurant. And this one is, let me see which location, Robbinsdale. They're doing it at the Basement Bar in Robbinsdale, and their dinner parties, they're office-themed. You can RSVP for up to 8 people. For I think it's $100 per person. So very interesting. This is the last weekend, so if you want to go do it, if you're totally into the office, this is apparently like, what does that mean? Like, what are they going to serve, like Jello with staplers or something? I don't know what else food wise would be office themed, or if it's just the decor. But the office dinner party kicks off January 9th. 8+ course chef's tasting menu paired with wine and cocktails. That seemed way too upscale for the office to me, but in any case, sounded pretty interesting. That I would share with you guys. So. Let me see. Oh, can I hit my refresh button? There we go. Why are you guys so quiet today? Are you all just working? Y'all are just working during the day. All right. I would love to know too if you guys like midday live streams or evenings. Usually I just do them in the evening. Okay, I need your opinions on this one too. Now, Revolve Food Hall opens in Apple Valley. That's the headline news. What do you guys think of food halls? I don't know. I have this mixed feeling. I only went to a food hall in Minnesota once. This was what's that one over in Dinkytown? I think it's called Malcolm Yards. Is that the one in Dinkytown? Like in the Midway area? I don't know. Anyways, we went there. Was not really impressed, to be honest. I know it's like the upcoming cool hipster thing. If you don't know what food halls are, essentially, I mean, you know what food hall. You can guess. I mean, it's just like a giant strip with like, think like old school mall food court where there's just a bunch of little restaurants all around the inside of it. Sort of like random hodgepodge of different things. And then at least with Malcolm Yards, they had like a self-pour tap, brew thing with like 25 beers or whatever down the thing. So it was an interesting idea. However, I will say when we went, it was completely jam-packed. You couldn't sit anywhere. It was like standing room only and like not that cool. The food was kind of cool, but it was super random too. So it was like, I don't know. Do you want this like weird pizza thing or do you want this like Thai fusion thing? It wasn't just like one like consistent theme, which I guess is kind of the point because then if you go with a group of people, everybody can eat different stuff. I don't know. I just wasn't really convinced. But in any case, there's a new one opening up. Also, this one was kind of interesting because this is down in Apple Valley. So this isn't for my real folks. This isn't like a really remote area out in the middle of nowhere by any means, but it's definitely more of out in the suburbs. Food halls to me is kind of more of a like downtown hipster type of experience. So in any case, food hall in Apple Valley. What's kind of interesting about this one, and I don't want to like knock the people that are doing it, hospitality group. I forget the name. Is it Revolve Hall? No, they're a different name. The Wonders Collective. They have done multiple food halls, and I want to say this is the second one in the same location that they're trying like different concepts out. So I don't know. I'm curious to see if this one survives. Here's the list of the lineup, which was pretty interesting. A coffee shop, a pizza place, ice cold tacos, which are apparently dessert tacos. Took me a second to check that one out. Whiskey Inferno, which is like a barbecue bar, an actual taco joint with warm tacos, hopefully, and then a Wanderer bar, which is only a summer outdoor thing. So there is an indoor-outdoor seating thing. One of the interesting things in this article, though, was that a lot of what they're doing is it's like a great place for restaurant startups to get in there pretty inexpensively. They can just lease space and then try out different things, basically see what works, what doesn't, and then they can go full scale with a standalone restaurant if they want to. So I actually thought that was pretty cool. Pretty interesting way of doing that. Oh, here we go, Malcolm Yards. That's where I went. I haven't gone to this place yet. So anyways, interesting food hall option. I would love to know if people in the south suburbs are excited about a food hall. What do you think about it? Are you going to go check out this thing? It does have a big outdoor seating, so I think that could be cool when the spring comes. We need more outdoor restaurant options as well. So I think that was all that was interesting on that one. Oh yeah, interesting too that this company does have other brands. So I know Bourbon Butcher is pretty popular down in Farmington. I haven't been to Tequila Butcher in Chan, but then they also have a burger place across the parking lot. So I don't know, interesting. Let me know what you guys think about that one. Also, another thing that is the last weekend for this one right here. We used to have the Red Bull Rampage, right? It was called something else, I want to say, for a while. But in any case, Red Bull Heavy Metal is coming this weekend to St. Paul. So if you're looking for something to do out on the weekends, this could be a pretty interesting one. Red Bull Heavy Metal, it's a snowboarding and rail riding competition set to return this year. Look at this picture. This is from 2015 when they came, so this isn't recent. But if you can essentially get the gist, this one was, 12 stories high and 500 meters long. So with this, they've done like bobsledding things. They've done like an iced crash course thing where you're basically just ice skating down this crazy slope or whatever. And then this one is primarily going to be around snowboarding as I understand it. So I haven't been over there. I don't know what all they have planned for this coming weekend, but that could be a pretty interesting thing. So it is a whole competition. You can win prizes, whatever. So there's local people. But there's apparently some big name snowboarders coming in. I don't really know who any big name snowboarders are. It's not really my jam, but in any case, I thought that was pretty interesting and something fun that you guys can do today. They've also done this up in Duluth, so that's a whole different event, but pretty interesting. So there you go. Okay, and then one last article, and then I'm gonna let you go. This was just gonna be a quick little live stream, and let's talk a little bit about the real estate market. So I tried to find a better, good snazzy infographic. Oh, I don't even have my screen shared for you guys. My bad. You guys are here. I'm just talking this whole time, and you don't even see what I'm looking at. Here we go. Let me give you my screen back. So the other big news. So you probably heard last year the big NAR settlement. There was like a $70-ish million lawsuit, I think, that happened, and changes to commission structures. So some people have been asking, has that actually gone into place? How has that affected how things have shaped up? So I'm going to share more on that later, I think, in a future market update when we can really go in depth. Which you'll find over on the YouTube channel. I don't usually post those on Facebook, so if you're watching right now on Facebook, you'll have to jump over to YouTube. In any case, if you didn't hear how all that shook down, the National Association of Realtors had a big lawsuit. They settled it, and they changed the way that commission structures were done. Typically, before, the seller would customarily pay for both sides of the real estate transactions commissions for buyer and seller, and then the buyer wouldn't have to pay anything. So it's a great way for buyers to be able to have representation without paying for that, in addition to their down payment and closing costs. That's sort of the short version of everything. Sellers didn't like that. They wanted options. So now we have a bunch of different options. And to be completely candid, it's added a lot of confusion, I think, in actual day-to-day transactions. A lot of buyers that I've had, basically, we have to ask them now, hey, do you want to see homes that the buyers or the sellers haven't pre-agreed to paying out your buyer's agent's commissions? And what do you think most of them are going to say? Most of the time, they're like, no, let's just go see the other houses first. And if we don't find anything, then we'll consider it. So basically, the seller can pre-agree to pay the buyer's agent's commission. They can make it negotiable within the purchase agreement itself, or they can just flat out say no, which is fine. Buyers are still having their agent. Buyer's agents are still getting paid. So if it's a no, the buyer's not going to come see the house quite often. And then if it's left to be negotiated as part of the purchase agreement, not pre-agreed to, I still find that leaves some hesitation because buyers are like, okay, well, so how much is it going to cost me to buy this house? Is it going to be thousands and thousands more than all the other houses I saw, or not? So they don't like that confusion. In any case, let me pop my screen back on before I forget. This is a kind of initial snapshot, at least here locally. This is a company that manages a bunch of transactions for agents here locally, and I pulled their infographic. So shout out to Home Free TC. I appreciate you guys a lot. This is all going to look really Greek to you, but let me just explain kind of what you're looking at. I've always done it, where the seller is pre-agreeing to paying out all the commission. Middle category there is basically where the seller is agreeing to pay out the commission in an additional 45% of the time, and it's done as part of the purchase agreement. So essentially 95% of the time, the seller is still paying out the buyer's agent's commission, some or all of that. And then 9% of the time, which I don't totally understand how their math doesn't math on this, but about 9% of the time, the buyer is paying something towards their own agent's commission. So I'm assuming that there's some overlap there because in some of the transactions, it's 50-50 or they're splitting or doing a lesser amount. Seller's paying 2% and the buyer's coming up with 0.5% or 1% or, whatever their splits are. So it is shared inside, but that would be, in how many cases is the commission not going straight from the seller to the buyer's brokerage, or how often is going to the buyer's agent. But sometimes it's not even called commission on the purchase agreement, and it's just called seller contributions to buyer's closing costs. And that's happening like 44% of the time, I think, right now, in addition to that. So the question is really, how often is it actually being earmarked as just concession to buyer close? It's being done in the concessions, not commissions. And so it's I don't know, splitting hairs over different words. But in any case, the vast majority of the time, buyers don't really need to worry about too much, and sellers got to understand their, 95% of their competitors are. So if you're not, that's going to really hurt your home sale. So that's kind of the gist of that one. If you want a full market update, I decided I wasn't even going to it for today, simply because it's a whole lot bigger conversation. So I did put a whole wrap up for 2024 on my YouTube channel. If you want to go check that out, search Joe Carmack, live in Minnesota. And you can grab that one for those people that are watching this on Facebook. And then, of course, everybody else on YouTube, you can just grab that there under the playlist for market updates. We go through that one super in depth. One number I will give you was, everybody really wants to know, I guess, two things, is what are interest rates doing? Currently, we're still over 7%. I think 7.07 was what I saw this morning. And then what are home prices doing? Prices went up about almost, $15,000 more for the same house if you waited a year. Interest rates are roughly the same as where they were a year ago. But they did come down. So I think we were in like the low sixes for the middle part of our last year. And then they came back up, but we're expecting them to go down again. So hopefully, even though rates are, I forget, what are rates projected for? Or excuse me, what are home prices? I forget. I think they're expecting home values to go up like 3 to 4% this coming year. And then they're expecting interest rates to come down about 1%. So that's kind of the short version of that. If you want to see more of the market update, you can certainly do so over on the YouTube channel. So there you go. I don't see any other questions or anything in the comments. You guys are quiet. So there's more viewers, I can tell, during a midday live stream than there is in the evenings. However, y'all are so quiet. So why isn't anybody chit-chatting? No problem. Hey, I appreciate you guys. Also, we just passed like 3,300 subs on YouTube. So seriously, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate so many calls, texts, phone calls, emails that I get. So don't hesitate. If you got anything, you just want to chat, you have a quick question, shoot me an email, jcarmack@kw, and I'm more than happy to help out. So I appreciate you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you soon. See you guys.